Sorry.
Cool, alright. Yeah, so luckily Martin Jetpack was invited along today to talk to you guys about sort of entrepreneurship and just to sort of motivate, because this is an example where Glenn's taken this from an idea which he had when he was a lot younger, and he's been dedicated to it 27 years now, and now it's finally coming to fruition now. It's going to be huge. So I'll lead you through the rest of it. Basically, so yeah, my name's Ray Thompson. Now, first, this presentation, I'm going to go through the sort of how the company sort of has grown, how it got to where it is now, give you a brief overview of the technical stuff, because I know there's a majority of engineers in here, so I know you'd like to hear some of the technical details. And then at the end, I'll sort of just briefly sort of talk about sort of what you guys do to ensure that you end up in a job where you have fun every day almost, you know. Right, this is Glenn. He's the man behind it. Who's going to tell you about the how the Jetpack came about? This is how you do it. So here's a little video.
Ever since the creation of Buck Rogers in the 1920s, people have dreamed of flying with a rocket strapped to their back. The idea of a personal jetpack is so appealing and powerful that it has become part of our collective psyche. Ask any child what a jetpack is and they will draw one. The first serious attempts to produce a jetpack started in the 1950s. The most successful and famous was the Bell rocket belt. The Bell rocket belt was shown around the world, appearing in programs like Lost in Space, the Carnival at Rio, and it wowed the audience at the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Many of us believed we would own our own jetpacks by now. However, the Bell rocket belt had a number of limitations, and with a full tank of fuel could only fly for 26 seconds.
So that 26-second thing, that's pretty much what we've managed to demolish, basically. Yeah, so basically back in the day, took a bit of work obviously for Glenn. Yeah, he just wanted to know, okay, well, he knew that the rocket belts existed. How was it possible to have someone fly a jetpack for 25 to 30 minutes? And he'd gone through, done all the sort of calculations. He's a biochemist from his education, but basically he did study some engineering, obviously, just for the fun of it, to get to where he is now. And he sort of found that the only way to really do the flight for 30 minutes was to actually just go and just driving lots of air through ducted fans. Rocket belts would at maximum last a minute or so, I think he calculated it out. Turbines and things, due to the fuel burn at the time, you could get up to 15 minutes if you really pushed it, but that wasn't quite enough to achieve what he wanted to achieve of a 30-minute flight. So he started doing the calcs in 1981, and since then it's progressed. Now, obviously, the first goal is to actually achieve enough thrust to launch off the ground. So that many years were spent just doing that. He went through doing prototypes, starting from small engines, small fans, then working up through big engines and bigger fans until the point you start to get enough thrust to, in theory, lift the person vertically off the ground. Initially, he would use those fans to drive things forwards. He actually attached his propulsion module, which is 2 fans and an engine. He attached that to a hang glider at one point, and used to fly the hang glider around with the jet turbo, the fan ducts there. So that's how he sort of tested it. It was also a bit of a cover story for him as well. He had lots of people coming in and helping him, and he'd tell them it was just for driving a hang glider, and really he was after 200 kgs of thrust, so he could do something else. Alright. Okay, the first person to levitate off the ground in the machine was Vanessa Martin. At this point, the project was still very secret. It was all coming from his sort of small amounts of money left over at the end of the week that he put into building bits and pieces. He was very dedicated to doing this. He trusted Vanessa enough that she wouldn't obviously tell too many people, so she's and also she was silly enough to have a go back in those days. And what you see here is a photo of her launching off the ground. The fans are picking her up, and there's a pole behind her which it's the machine sliding up on. But yeah, she was the first person to be lifted by a Martin Jetpack. Okay, now as you want to develop your product, obviously there comes a point where you really need the funding. Not only the funding, but also the business expertise, the management, and that kind of thing. So you really need to call on other people. And at that point, Glenn had already done some testing of that prototype. The next model after it was prototype 9, where he basically was flying along a wire, okay, just to show that the machine can lift off the ground and had some level of control. So he showed that. He had a model of the Jetpack, just a physical model, and he obviously went to some sort of business plan or venture summary. And from that, a venture capital company came on board, and that has really allowed the company to change significantly. That was about, I think it was about 4 years ago. So that money allows you to bring in expertise, and it's also explore new technologies. Start using carbon fibre, that kind of thing, instead of your fiberglasses. Okay, here's just a quick snapshot of all the different people. Well, not all of them, just some that are involved. Number 8 Ventures is the venture capital company that applied the initial funding. Canterbury University has been involved from quite a while back. Keith Alexander in the top right corner. He's also a lecturer of mine, and somewhat had something to do with me getting a job, obviously. He put in a good word for me. It's kind of cool. So you get along with the lecturers, everybody. And Donate Composites in the bottom left, they do our composite work for the machine. Donate Composites, just to give you an idea of who they are, they build racing cycles. They built Sarah Armour's bike with that win gold a few years ago at the Olympics. The EAA in the bottom right hand corner is the Experimental Aviation Authority and Association, sorry. They're over in Wisconsin, and they're the ones who run the Oshkosh Air Show. Alright, you can see here the prototype development. Prototype 9, obviously looking a little bit rough. That was sort of just before money came into the company. We went to prototype 10. This one was the one to sort of first get into the sky and actually do some controlled flight. And prototype 9 in the background there. Alright, another thing about when you are developing your business, it's nice to stick with engineering for a while, but there are other skills that become very important, such as management. And basically one of them was actually just overall industrial design. As engineers, we all like to design things that look good, but it's nice to have an external person come in with a fresh view on how to make a machine look really sharp, and it gives you an overall sort of design intent, so you don't just design your parts to look good, you design the machine to look good, and all those parts make up that machine. So this gave us a direction where to go. When we first saw the drawings, we were amazed. We couldn't believe it looked that good, and basically we commented that it would suit a stormtrooper look pretty cool. I'll just flip the back and forth between those two. So industrial design, we're lucky to get an industrial designer who's actually very practically minded. He can understand that we have a technical thing here that has certain aspects which need to function, such as cooling underneath the radiator and venting around the engine, that kind of thing. so design was quite reasonable. But there was lots of sharp edges and flat